Well, good day, everybody. I'm Russ Reed, and I'm the principal investigator for a NSF grant that we have with the Advanced Technological Education Division, and it is called Beta Skills. And part of this grant is to look at biomedical, emerging medical technology applications. And I'm delighted today because we really wanted to explore cyber biosecurity. And what we wanted to do in our grant is to actually produce a professional development program for instructors and teachers in this very, very nascent and emerging area. And so I'm delighted because that particular program now is well underway, and it has been developed, and it will be coordinated by two people we have online today. And one of them is James Brown, who's a student at the PhD level at North Carolina A&T University. And the other is Patty Alfing, who is a MS and an instructor in biology at Davidson Community College. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Also want to acknowledge our master media technician, Sean Killebrew. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Russ. Glad to be here.
Sean, always happy to have you on board. And so the purpose of today's assignment really is to generate some interest around our program. We think it's really exciting, but we want to show you what is emerging in this program. So I am going to turn it over to James and Patty to introduce themselves and give you an idea of who they are.
Well, thank you, Russ. As he said, my name is James Brown, of course, no relation. I am a PhD student at North Carolina A&T State University in computer science, where I'm studying the security and the intrusion detection of IoT devices, Internet of Things devices. And I'm using something called an artificial immune system, which is based on the human immune system, whereby we try to identify ourself, right? Our human immune system tries to identify self. So therefore, theoretically, it could detect any non-self. And so I'm applying that into the IoT field and seeing where it goes.
Great. And I'm Patty Alfing, and I teach out at Davidson Davie Community College. We just changed names, so I was trying to remember the new name. I have been teaching for almost 20 years. I started out teaching biotech things, and then I moved on and teach mainly students who are going into the medical field now. But my background is I have a master's degree in genetics and microbiology from the University of Florida.
So we have two very qualified people. And Patty, to your benefit, you know these kinds of professional development programs that we produce from the National Center, and you've been our coordinator for my gosh, the past 5 years for sure. And so you know the kind of energy we put into these programs, and also the return. So I want to ask you guys, can you tell us about this program? What is this program?
So as you all know, just technology in general has become so impactful to our daily lives. The way we live, the way we work, the way we interact with one another. We rely upon technology for just about everything we do. To a certain point, there's some things we do that we cannot do without technology. And as you may or may not have heard, a lot of this technology is susceptible to attacks. Right? In the news very recently, there have been many, many high-profile attacks that have caused a lot of damage, not only financially, but in reputation and legally to different governments and organizations. And so as a result, cybersecurity is a huge field and a huge necessity in modern society. Right? Without cybersecurity, again, these attacks would be more prevalent because although it may not seem so, there is some type of security in place. It's just the attackers are able to thwart that security system. And so it's an ongoing battle. And if you see here on this slide, in this year alone, 2021, it's expected that damages as a result of cybercrime will reach up to $6 trillion this year. Now let's break that down a little bit. That's $500 billion a month, $115 billion a week, $16.4 billion a day, all the way down to $190,000 a second. Now that's more than what I make in a year. And it just goes to show how damaging cybercrime can be. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, cybercrime towards the medical field has grown exponentially, right? The pandemic has exacerbated the problem where hospitals and other medical facilities are now prime targets for cyber criminals. And so in this training, this professional development, we're going to cover some of those attacks and why it's so prevalent, and some of the things that we can do as individuals to assist in stopping those attacks.
Patty, you're the biologist. How does the bio part of this happen?
So that's I think that's kind of the newer field, obviously, because cybersecurity has been around for a really long time, but we're starting to have to think about it in a little bit different ways. We're having to think about how it's going to affect a person specifically, as far as maybe not just their medical records, which James was alluding to, but maybe other things as well. We know that there are many research facilities across the nation, biopharmaceutical companies, things like that. There's these medical devices that people wear that basically kind of help keep them alive when you're thinking about a pacemaker or maybe an insulin pump. So we're having different areas now where it's a little bit easier to affect a single person and their specific health, but also affect large biopharma companies, which are basically, they're going to be the center of how we're doing a lot of the research or doing treatments or even vaccine and medication productions. So when we look at things like the medical devices, as I said, we're looking at things like pacemakers and we're looking at things like insulin pumps. Both of those are keeping people alive. And if they can be hacked by someone, that now causes a problem because you could actually threaten a person's life. When we're thinking about those biopharma companies, if their IT has not done a great job, or maybe they're using some computers with some older operating systems, or maybe they've got some people using devices on the floor that are not authorized devices, and so they're kind of opening up the ability for other people to get in and affect how things are produced, affect the supply chain, maybe even affect things like the different lab equipment, and even in the long run, maybe even affecting the ability for people to get a hold of different organisms, because there are organisms that are being researched that we don't necessarily want to have out in the public in general. So we're looking at possible stealing of intellectual properties, research data, even all the way down to what a lot of simple thought is about of, oh, I'll just get my DNA checked and coded with Ancestry or 23andMe or one of those other type of situations. They now are storing all of your data. So now they're storing your DNA data that could be stolen by someone, and that could actually affect things for you specifically.
James and Patty, thank you for this great explanation. Could you just take a minute and just walk us through what is actually going to happen on June 28th, 29th, and 30th?
So each day will be about 2 hours worth of content, and we'll walk through a couple different case studies of cybersecurity related events and labs, where you can see from an individual standpoint how much information is out there on the web about us and what a potential attacker can do with that information. How can they use that information to infiltrate a network, to infiltrate a company, to infiltrate an organization, or even the federal government, which has recently seen some successful attacks. We'll also have some industry experts come in and talk about just kind of on the ground information regarding cybersecurity and how it relates to what we do in our lives and as individuals.
Patty, you have any other comments you want to make with respect to the program itself and how it'll unveil?
Yes, in addition to the things that James was talking about, we'll also have a couple of industry experts coming in with medical devices and be able to discuss where they're seeing some issues with those within the cyber biosecurity, as well as a couple of folks who can give us some information about pharmaceutical production. And we'll do a few case studies, and we'll even hopefully be able to bring some case studies home so that we can continue to think about this throughout the next year.
Question to both of you. Is this a live presentation that you're doing with the audience?
Yes.
Our presentation components will be live. Other parts may be recorded just so that we can make sure we fit everything into the time period and give enough background so everything can be understood.
Well, this sounds like a really exciting program. Is there any cost to the participants to attend this program?
So the program is completely free. And, just because it's free doesn't mean it lacks in quality. So you will get adequate value for what you attend.
You'll be learning some new things, which is always a positive, and you don't even have to pay for it. So that's always a good thing too.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you both for joining us today. And, we're always in awe of the National Science Foundation Advanced Technological Education Division. And they've taken a chance on us to produce a great program. And, I have a lot of confidence in the both of you. And I think that this course has been well thought out. I think it's going to be a great course, and I'm really looking forward to it. How do people apply for this course?
They get in contact with Russ Reed.
So there is a flyer that is attached to this video, and it has our contacts. So please apply, and hopefully we can take it. We are limited in how many people we can take in, but at this present time, we are wide open.